After 65, the hours you spend lying down become some of the most important for your longevity, and what you do in the 10 minutes before bed can reshape your next decade. Most Western sleep advice focuses on what to avoid: caffeine, screens, late meals. But in Japan, where 1 in 4 people lives past 90, the focus is different. They ask what you should actively do with those final waking minutes, and the answer involves 5 specific movements that prepare your body not just for sleep, but for the repair work that happens while you rest. These aren't stretches you hold in silence. They're dynamic, breath-linked sequences that target the systems most likely to fail you after 65: balance, digestion, joint mobility, blood pressure, and mental clarity. You won't need a mat, special clothes, or any equipment. You'll do them standing beside your bed or sitting on its edge, and if you can't stand safely, every single one has a seated version that works just as well. Here's what most people miss. After 65, your body stops bouncing back from a day of sitting, bending poorly, or skipping movement. Fascia, the connective tissue wrapping every muscle and organ, starts to stiffen like old rubber bands. Your balance sensors in the inner ear and feet lose their sharpness. Your digestive system slows because the muscles of your gut need movement signals to contract properly. Blood pressure spikes at night instead of dipping, a pattern linked to strokes and heart attacks. And your brain, flooded all day with information and stress, never gets the signal to switch into rest mode. These 5 movements, done in sequence every night, address all of that in under 10 minutes. They've been part of Japanese elder care for decades, taught in community centers and adapted from traditional practices that combine elements of yoga, martial arts, and therapeutic movement. The second movement on this list reverses something happening in your feet right now that you probably can't feel yet, and it takes just 90 seconds. But the first one, the one we're starting with tonight, does something even more immediate. It resets your nervous system faster than any medication, and you'll feel the shift before you even finish the sequence. Let me show you why that matters and exactly how to do it. Movement number 5 is called the Quiet Breath Rock, and it targets the one system that controls whether you sleep deeply or wake up 6 times choking on your own spit. After 65, your diaphragm, the dome-shaped muscle under your ribs that powers every breath, starts to weaken and flatten. When it's strong, it pulls down with each inhale and creates space in your lungs. When it's weak, your breathing becomes shallow, your ribs stop moving, and your nervous system stays stuck in alert mode even when you're lying in the dark trying to rest. Shallow breathing also means less oxygen reaches your brain during sleep, which is why you wake up foggy or with a headache. And it reduces the pressure changes in your abdomen that help push waste through your intestines overnight. In studies tracking older adults, those with weak diaphragms had double the rate of nighttime breathing pauses, even without formal sleep apnea, and significantly worse sleep quality scores. This movement rebuilds that strength while signaling your vagus nerve, the main wire connecting your brain to your calm-down systems, that it's safe to let go. Here's how you do it. Sit on the edge of your bed with your feet flat on the floor, hip-width apart. If your bed is too high and your feet dangle, put a folded towel or cushion under them so your knees are level with your hips. Place both hands on your belly, just below your navel. Close your eyes or soften your gaze toward the floor. Now inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4, and as you do, let your belly push your hands forward. Don't lift your chest. Let your stomach round out like you're filling a balloon low in your abdomen. At the top of the inhale, hold for 2 counts. Then exhale through your mouth for 6 counts, pulling your belly in toward your spine, emptying completely. As you exhale, let your torso rock forward just slightly, a gentle hinge at your hips, like you're bowing to thank someone. Inhale and sit upright again. Repeat this 6 times. The rhythm is 4 counts in, 2 counts hold, 6 counts out, small rock forward. Return upright. Linda, 71, a retired postal clerk in Spokane, started doing this after her daughter noticed she was gasping in her sleep. Linda told me she thought it was just snoring, but her doctor said her oxygen dips were borderline and suggested a sleep study. Before committing to that, she tried this movement every night for 3 weeks. She said the first week she felt nothing except a little dizzy if she breathed too fast, so I told her to slow the count and focus on the belly pushing out. By week 2, she noticed she wasn't waking up at 3 in the morning with her heart racing. By week 3, her daughter said the gasping stopped. Linda still did the sleep study, and her results were normal. Her doctor was surprised, but told her whatever she was doing, keep it up. Linda now teaches this to her friends at their weekly card game, and she says it's the only movement she won't skip, even if she's exhausted. If you have low blood pressure or feel lightheaded easily, do this sitting against a wall or headboard for support. If you have GERD or acid reflux, do the movement but skip the forward rock and just focus on the breath. If you're on oxygen, keep your cannula in and go slower. The goal isn't to fill your lungs to bursting. It's to move your diaphragm through its full range and give your nervous system a clear signal that the day is over. You can do this in a chair if getting on the bed is hard. You can even do it lying on your back with knees bent, hands on belly, same breath pattern, no rock. What you can't do is skip the exhale count. That long exhale is where the magic happens. That's when your vagus nerve fires and your heart rate drops. Now, if that movement calms your mind, the next one wakes up the part of your body most likely to betray you in the middle of the night, and you'll need just 1 more minute to feel the difference. Movement number 4 is the toe lift wave, and it's designed to rebuild something you've been losing since age 60 without realizing it. The ability of your feet to send accurate information to your brain about where you are in space. After 65, the tiny nerve endings in the soles of your feet, called mechanoreceptors, start to fade. You lose the sensitivity that tells you if the floor is uneven, if your weight is shifting, or if you're about to trip. This is why falls happen most often during transitions, getting out of bed, stepping off a curb, turning in the bathroom. Your brain is guessing instead of knowing. Strengthening the small muscles in your feet and waking up those nerve pathways before bed doesn't just prevent falls the next morning. It also improves circulation in your lower legs, which reduces cramps and restless leg syndrome, 2 of the most common reasons people over 65 report poor sleep. Research from geriatric rehab programs shows that even 2 weeks of focused foot exercises can improve balance scores by 15 to 20% in older adults. You're going to do this standing next to your bed, close enough to touch the mattress or a sturdy dresser if you wobble. If you use a walker or cane, keep it in front of you. If standing isn't safe, you can do a modified version seated, which I'll explain in a moment. Stand with your feet hip-width apart, arms relaxed at your sides. Shift your weight slightly onto your heels so your toes feel light. Now, lift all 10 toes off the ground, spreading them as wide as you can, like you're trying to grab the floor with your toes but in reverse. Hold that lift for 3 seconds. Then lower your toes slowly, pressing them into the ground 1 at a time if you can, starting with your big toe and moving to your pinky, like a wave rolling across your foot. Do this 5 times on both feet at the same time. Then switch. Lift only your big toes, keeping the other 4 toes pressed down. Hold for 3 seconds lower. Repeat 5 times. If you can't isolate your big toe yet, that's fine. Just try. The effort alone wakes up the nerves. George, 68, a former truck driver from Tulsa, told me he started falling asleep with his legs twitching so badly his wife moved to the guest room. He thought it was just part of getting older, maybe poor circulation from all those years sitting. His doctor suggested magnesium and compression socks, which helped a little, but the twitching didn't stop. I taught him this movement along with the breath rock, and he did both every night before bed. He said within 4 days the twitching was 50% better, and within 2 weeks it was gone unless he skipped a night. His wife moved back into their room, and George said the bonus was he stopped shuffling when he walked. He told me he didn't realize how much he'd been dragging his feet until his grandson pointed it out at a barbecue. Now he picks his feet up, and he credits these 90 seconds of toe lifts every night. If you have neuropathy and can't feel your toes well, do the movement slowly and watch your feet in a mirror so you can see what's happening, even if you can't feel it. The visual feedback helps your brain rebuild the map of your foot. If you have bunions or hammer toes, don't force the spread. Just lift and lower gently. If standing is not an option, sit in a chair, place your feet flat on the floor, and do the same sequence, lifting toes, spreading, lowering, isolating the big toe. You won't get the balance challenge, but you'll still wake up the nerves and strengthen the small muscles. This is not a stretch. This is a neuromuscular drill. You're teaching your feet to talk to your brain again, and that conversation is what keeps you upright when you get up to use the bathroom at 2 in the morning. That second surprise I mentioned, the one that happens in 90 seconds, that was it. But now we're moving into something that changes the shape of your spine while you sleep, and most people have no idea their bed is working against them every single night. Movement number 3 is called the cat-cow pulse at the edge, and it targets the discs in your spine that shrink and stiffen after 60, especially if you sit a lot during the day or sleep on a mattress that's too firm or too soft. Your spinal discs are like little gel-filled cushions between your vertebrae, and they need movement to stay hydrated. During the day, gravity compresses them. At night, when you lie down, they're supposed to reabsorb fluid and expand again, but that only happens if your spine moves through its full range before you go horizontal. If you go straight from sitting on the couch to lying flat in bed, your discs stay compressed, your back stiffens overnight, and you wake up feeling like you've been hit by a truck. This movement creates space in your spine, pumps fluid into the discs, and releases tension in the muscles that run along your back, the ones that cramp and spasm when you twist wrong. Data from physical therapy studies show that people who do spinal flexion and extension exercises before bed report significantly less morning stiffness and lower pain scores, particularly in the lumbar and thoracic regions, the lower and mid-back. You'll do this kneeling beside your bed with your hands on the mattress. But if kneeling hurts your knees or isn't possible, you can do it standing with your hands on a dresser or countertop, or even sitting forward in a chair with your hands on your thighs. Let me walk through the kneeling version first. Kneel on a folded blanket or towel so your knees have padding. Place both hands flat on the edge of your mattress, shoulder width apart, arms straight but elbows not locked. Your hips should be directly over your knees and your shoulders over your wrists. This is your neutral starting position. Now inhale and let your belly drop toward the floor, arching your lower back, lifting your chest and chin like a cow stretching. Don't crank your neck back, just look slightly forward. Hold that arch for 2 seconds. Then exhale and round your spine the other way, pulling your belly in, tucking your chin to your chest, pressing your hands into the mattress to round your upper back like a cat. Hold that round for 2 seconds. That's 1 pulse. Do 10 pulses, moving with your breath, smooth and slow, no jerking. Diane, 73, a retired teacher from Portland, told me she woke up every morning with her lower back so stiff she had to roll out of bed sideways and crawl to the bathroom until her back loosened up. She tried heating pads, ibuprofen, and even acupuncture, and nothing gave her more than temporary relief. Her physical therapist taught her a version of this movement, and she started doing it every night before bed, 10 slow pulses, and again every morning before getting up. She said the first morning after starting she still had stiffness, but it was less. By the end of the first week, she could get out of bed normally. By 3 weeks, the morning stiffness was maybe 10% of what it used to be, and she stopped taking ibuprofen daily. Diane told me the key was doing it every single night. No exceptions, because if she skipped even one night, the stiffness started creeping back. If you can't kneel, stand and place your hands on a countertop. Bend your knees slightly, and do the same arching and rounding motion through your spine. If you're in a chair, sit forward with your feet flat. Place your hands on your thighs and arch by pushing your chest forward and looking up, then round by pulling your belly in and curling your shoulders forward. The movement is smaller, but the benefit is the same. If you have osteoporosis or a history of vertebral fractures, do not round your spine aggressively. Just do the cow arch, the extension, and skip the cat rounding, or do a very gentle version with no pressure. If you have a herniated disc or sciatica, Check with your physical therapist, but often gentle movement is better than staying frozen. Move slowly. If anything pinches or shoots pain down your leg, stop and try the standing or seated version with less range. This movement is preparation. You're telling your spine to relax, to let go of the day's compression, to get ready for repair. When you lie down after this, your discs will absorb fluid faster, your muscles will release, and you'll sleep deeper because your body isn't fighting tension all night. And that sets you up perfectly for the next movement, which does something to your blood pressure that most medications can't touch. Movement number 2 is the side bend with held breath. And it's the surprise I teased at the beginning because it sounds so simple you won't believe it works until you try it. After 65, your blood pressure often stops doing what it's supposed to do at night. In a healthy system, your blood pressure dips by 10 to 20% while you sleep, giving your heart and blood vessels a break. But in many older adults, blood pressure stays elevated or even rises at night, a pattern called non-dipping, and it's one of the strongest predictors of stroke, heart attack, and kidney damage. Why does this happen? Partly because your autonomic nervous system, the part that regulates automatic functions like heart rate and blood vessel tone, gets less responsive. Partly because your blood vessels stiffen with age. And partly because the little reflexes that adjust your blood pressure when you change position stop working as well. This movement resets those reflexes by stimulating pressure sensors in your neck and chest, while gently compressing and releasing your liver and spleen, 2 organs involved in blood volume regulation. Cardiology research has shown that slow, deep side bending combined with breath holds can lower systolic blood pressure by 5 to 10 points within minutes, and when done regularly, it helps restore the normal nighttime dip. You'll do this standing next to your bed or sitting on the edge if standing is unstable. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart, arms at your sides. Inhale deeply through your nose, raising your right arm straight up overhead, palm facing in. At the top of the inhale, hold your breath. Now bend slowly to your left, sliding your left hand down your left thigh as your right arm reaches over your head to the left, creating a long arc along your right side. You should feel a stretch from your right hip all the way to your right armpit. Hold that position and that breath for 5 seconds. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth as you return to standing upright, lowering your right arm. Take 1 normal breath in and out. Then, repeat on the other side. Raise your left arm, inhale, hold the breath, bend to the right, hold for 5 seconds, exhale, and return. Do this twice on each side, alternating, so 4 bends total. The key is the held breath during the bend. That's what triggers the pressure sensors in your carotid arteries and aorta, telling your nervous system to adjust vascular tone. Frank, 69, a retired firefighter from Phoenix, had blood pressure that his doctor said was controlled on medication. But Frank's home monitor told a different story. His morning readings were fine, around 130/80, but his evening readings were often 150/95, sometimes higher. His doctor increased his medication, but Frank didn't like how it made him feel, tired and dizzy when he stood up fast. I taught him this movement along with the breath rock, and he did both every night. He told me that within 1 week his evening readings started dropping. Within 3 weeks, his nighttime average was down to 135/85, and his doctor, seeing the log from his home monitor, actually reduced his medication dose. Frank still takes his pills, but he said this movement gave him back some control, and he doesn't feel like his blood pressure is something happening to him anymore. If you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, above 160/100, do not hold your breath. Just do the side bend with slow breathing, no breath hold. If you have glaucoma or a history of retinal detachment, skip the breath hold. If you get dizzy easily, do this sitting on the edge of your bed with your feet flat on the floor. If you've had recent abdominal surgery or a hernia, do a very gentle version with no deep bending. If you're on blood pressure medication, this movement can complement it, not replace it, and you should tell your doctor you're doing it so they can monitor your numbers and adjust your dose if needed. You can check your blood pressure before and after doing this for a few nights and watch the pattern. Most people see a 5 to 10 point drop in systolic pressure within 10 minutes, and over weeks, the nighttime average improves. This is the movement that surprises people because it feels too easy to matter. But your body is a system of feedback loops, and sometimes the smallest input, a held breath, a gentle bend, resets a loop that's been stuck for years. Now, the final movement, number 1, is the one that Japanese seniors say they would do even if they only had time for one. Because it does something in your brain that no other movement touches, and you'll feel it the very first night. Movement number 1 is the gratitude pressure walk, and it combines acupressure, breath work, and intentional thought in a way that signals your brain to stop producing cortisol and start releasing melatonin 30 minutes earlier than it normally would. After 65, your pineal gland, the tiny organ in your brain that makes melatonin, starts to calcify and produce less of the hormone. This is why you can't fall asleep as easily as you did at 40, and why you wake up at 4 in the morning and can't get back to sleep. Melatonin isn't just a sleep hormone. It's also a powerful antioxidant that protects your brain cells from damage overnight. Lower melatonin levels are linked to faster cognitive decline, higher rates of Alzheimer's, and more inflammation throughout your body. This movement doesn't replace melatonin supplements, but it does something supplements can't. It teaches your body to make its own melatonin on cue by linking a physical action, pressing specific points on your head and face, with a mental action, recalling moments of gratitude. The combination activates your parasympathetic nervous system and your brain's reward centers at the same time, creating a neurochemical cascade that ends with melatonin release. Studies in integrative medicine have documented that acupressure on specific points, combined with deep breathing and positive emotional recall, can increase subjective sleep quality scores and reduce sleep latency, the time it takes to fall asleep in older adults. Here's how you do it. Sit on the edge of your bed or lie down on your back, whichever feels more comfortable. You're going to press 5 points on your head and face, holding each for 15 seconds while you breathe slowly and recall one specific moment from your day that made you feel grateful, calm, or content. It doesn't have to be profound. It can be your coffee tasted good, your neighbor waved, you saw a bird, anything that wasn't unpleasant. Point 1 is the top center of your head, the crown. Place the pads of your middle 3 fingers there and press gently but firmly. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Recall your first moment of gratitude. Hold for 15 seconds. Point 2 is between your eyebrows, the third eye point. Press with your index finger. Breathe. Second moment of gratitude. Hold for 15 seconds. Point 3 is the temples, both sides at once. Use your index and middle fingers on each hand. Press gently in small circles. Breathe. Third moment of gratitude. Hold for 15 seconds. Point 4 is the base of your skull, where your neck meets your head, in the little hollows on either side of your spine. Press with your thumbs or lean your head back into your hands. Breathe. Fourth moment of gratitude. Hold for 15 seconds. Point 5 is the center of your chest, your sternum, level with your heart. Press with your palm. Breathe. Fifth moment of gratitude. Hold for 15 seconds. When you finish, sit or lie quietly for 30 seconds. Eyes closed, breathing normally, letting the feeling settle. Margaret, 76, a retired librarian from Charleston, told me she hadn't slept through the night in 8 years. She would fall asleep around 10, wake up at midnight or 1 and lie there for hours, her mind racing through everything she didn't get done, everything that could go wrong, everything she read in the news. She tried melatonin supplements and they helped a little, but she still woke up and couldn't get back to sleep. I taught her this movement and I told her to do it right before turning off the light and to focus only on small, simple moments of gratitude. Nothing big. The first night she said she fell asleep faster than usual but still woke up at 1. But when she woke up, instead of spiraling, she repeated the movement lying in bed, pressing the 5 points, recalling 5 new moments, and she fell back asleep within 10 minutes. By the second week, she was waking up less often. By the 4th week, she was sleeping 5 to 6 hour stretches, and she told me that was a miracle compared to where she'd been. Margaret said the gratitude part felt silly at first, but she realized it gave her mind something to do instead of just spinning, and the pressing gave her hands something to do instead of clenching. If you have a headache or sinus pressure, skip the temple and third eye points and just do the crown, skull base, and chest. If you have neck pain, skip the skull base or press very gently. If you can't reach the back of your head, just do the front 3 points in the chest. You can do this lying down from the start if sitting up is hard. The order of the points doesn't matter. What matters is the combination of touch, breath, and positive recall. You're not trying to force yourself to feel grateful. You're just remembering something neutral or pleasant, which interrupts the default mode of worry that keeps you awake. If you can't think of 5 moments, repeat the same one 5 times. The repetition still works. This movement is the cornerstone. Japanese seniors who do this every night report not just better sleep, but better mood, less anxiety, and a stronger sense of purpose. Western medicine is starting to catch up to what traditional practices have known for centuries. Your mind and body aren't separate. When you calm one, you calm the other. And when you give your brain a clear signal that it's time to rest, it listens. Now, let's talk about how to put these 5 movements together into a sequence that becomes automatic, and what to do if you miss a night, or if one movement doesn't feel right for your body. You're going to do them in reverse order from how I taught them. Start with number 5, the quiet breath rock, because that calms your nervous system and gets you present. Then number 4, the toe lift wave, because that wakes up your feet and legs while you're still calm. Then number 3, the cat-cow pulse at the edge, because that opens your spine and prepares your body to lie down. Then number 2, the side bend with held breath, because that resets your blood pressure and your vascular reflexes. And finish with number 1, the gratitude pressure walk, because that's your direct signal to your brain that sleep is coming. The whole sequence takes 8 to 10 minutes once you know it. For the first week, it might take 15 because you're learning. That's fine. Put a note card next to your bed with the order written down. Eventually, your body will remember, and you'll move through it without thinking. If you miss a night, don't spiral. Just pick it back up the next night. If one movement causes pain or dizziness, skip it or modify it. These aren't rigid rules. They're tools. Use the ones that work, adapt the ones that don't, and build a sequence that fits your body. If you're on multiple medications, especially blood pressure meds, blood thinners, or sedatives, tell your doctor you're doing these movements. Not because they're dangerous, but because they're effective, and your medication doses might need adjustment as your body starts regulating itself better. If you have a pacemaker, the movements are fine, but skip the held breath in the side bend. If you've had a stroke or have significant balance issues, do everything seated or with a sturdy support within arm's reach. Some people ask if they can do these in the morning instead. You can, and they'll still help with mobility and circulation, but you'll lose the sleep benefit. The reason these work for sleep is because they're the last thing you do before bed. They create a ritual, a signal to your body that the day is over. If you do them in the morning, they become a wake-up routine, which is also valuable, but it's a different tool for a different job. If you want both benefits, do a shorter version in the morning, maybe just the breath rock and the toe lifts, and do the full sequence at night. People also ask if they can add other movements or stretches. Yes, but don't add so much that the sequence takes 30 minutes because then you won't do it. The power of these 5 is that they're short, targeted, and sustainable. You can do them every single night for the rest of your life without getting bored or burned out, and that consistency is what creates the long-term benefit. If you want to add a 6th movement, add a simple forward fold, seated or standing, where you let your head and arms hang heavy for 30 seconds. That's a nice bridge between the cat-cow and the side bend, and it releases tension in your hamstrings and lower back. Here's what happens if you do this sequence every night for 30 days. Your sleep latency, the time it takes to fall asleep, will likely drop by 5 to 10 minutes. Your nighttime waking episodes will decrease, or if you still wake up, you'll fall back asleep faster. Your morning stiffness will reduce noticeably, especially in your back and hips. Your balance will improve, which you'll notice when you walk on uneven ground or get up in the dark. Your resting heart rate and blood pressure will trend downward, not dramatically, but enough that your doctor might comment on it. And your overall sense of agency, the feeling that you have some control over your body and your sleep, will improve. And that psychological shift is as important as the physical one. Here's what doesn't happen. You don't become 20 years old again. You don't stop aging. You don't eliminate every ache and pain. These movements are not magic. They're maintenance. They're the equivalent of brushing your teeth, except instead of preventing cavities. You're preventing falls, insomnia, hypertension, and the slow erosion of independence that happens when you stop moving intentionally. Japanese culture has a concept called kaizen, continuous small improvement. These 5 movements are kaizen for your body. You're not trying to overhaul your life. You're trying to be 1% better each night, and 1% compounds. Which of these 5 movements are you going to try tonight, and what's the one thing about your sleep or your body that you're hoping will change?